Okay, hi guys. So today I'm going to be telling you a book, like a story from a book I just read like today. And if I read it, my dad will give me 50 baht. I already read it, and so my dad gave me 50 baht. And now if I record and then put this into my YouTube channel, my dad will give me another 50 baht. So here's the story about. The story is about the magic finger. And the magic finger is like, here, let me tell you. So there was a girl who had magic finger, like a magic finger. And then next to her house, her neighbor was their friends. Like the neighbor had Mr. and Mrs. Greg had two children, boys. They're both boys. One is 11, which is William. One is Porch, who is 8. Every Saturday they would play together, and every Saturday night they would hunt for animals outside their yard and go to the forest and kill birds, ducks, like that. And one day they hunted for ducks, like shooted their guns, and after they shooted their guns, they, you know how many they catched? They catched like 6. They killed 16 of them. Yeah, literally. They killed 16 of them, and then after that they took it home, and then they saw 4 birds coming above their heads, flying above, and the Mr. Greg tried to shoot them but missed, and then they flew again slowly, and then they still missed, and they didn't know why, because, and then that night they went to sleep after that. And after that, every day the girl with magic finger would tell them, like, Saturdays, don't hunt for animals, that's not right. But the boys would just laugh at her. And that night they went to sleep, and then after they woke up, Mr. Greg woke up first. And when she was trying to grab his glasses, he couldn't move his arm. It felt like it was gone. And then he tried to move his left one, which wasn't moving too. And then he looked at himself and found out that he had duck wings. He didn't know why. Because of the magic finger girl. And he shouted so loud, "Help!" And then Mrs. Greg opened her eyes and then went to her husband and then shouted to, "Ah! What's happening?" said Mrs. Greg. And then she said, "Why do you have duck wings? What's happening?" And "What's happening to you?" she said. And Mr. Greg said, "Both of us are the same." And then Mrs. Greg said, "What do you mean? I don't have duck wings." "What? I have duck wings?" And then they went outside to check on William and Porch, and then they were flying outside, having fun. And William said, "Look, Mommy, I'm flying." And one of them said, "Oh my gosh, we're so little, we're so short, we're not humans anymore, but I want to be a human again," said William. And their mother said, "How are we going to change this? What is happening?" And Mr. Greg said, "I think we should try to fly." And then they said, "Yeah, let's try to fly out." And they flied out the window, like, they flied out, they tried, and then it worked. So they were flying outside, and Mr. Greg said, "Follow me. I think I know the place that we should go." And they followed Mr. Greg. And then Mr. Greg found a tall tree, and they said, "We should make a nest here to sleep. And then they said, "But how are we going to make a nest?" And Mr. Greg said, "Go get some sticks." And Porch said, but how are we going to do them? We don't have arms. And Mr. Greg said, use your mouth. And then they went hunting. No, not hunting. They went to get the things, sticks to stick on to make a nest. And then they went and came back. And Mr. Greg said, we need more. It's not enough. Mr. Greg was the perfect guy to the perfect one, the best of them to stick it together to make a nest. And they got a lot. And Mr. Greg said, I think we need some soft feathers to make it soft. And they said, yeah, we should. And then they went to find some soft things for the nest to make it softer, yeah. And after they made it softer, and then it took a long time to make the nest, yeah, to make the nest. And then after they were done making the nest, Mrs. Greg said to their children, aren't you guys hungry? We're so hungry, said the children. And then they said, how are we going to get food? Said the children. And then Mrs. Greg said, I don't know, said Mrs. Greg, yeah. And Mr. Greg said, what if we go flying to our garden and get the apples from the apple tree, said Mr. Greg. And then they said, okay, let's go. And they flew to their garden. And William said, Mommy, Daddy, look down. Look at those 4 ducks. We tried to shoot them last night, but we couldn't. We missed. Look at them stealing our house. They own it now, cried the children. And they looked down and they saw from the window. Mrs. Greg said, oh my gosh, how dare she cook food from my kitchen, said Mrs. Greg. And Mr. Greg said, oh my gosh, look at him holding my gun. I used to hunt yesterday. And William said, oh my gosh, look at him holding my piano, cried William. And Porch said, look, they're playing my choo-choo train. I'm so sad, said Porch. And after they said they stole our whole entire house, I think we should get some apples now. And they said all right. And then they went some apples. And the children said, how are we going to eat? We don't have arms. And again said Mr. Greg, use your mouth, said Mr. Greg. They used their mouths to eat the apples from the tree, yeah, like that. And after they finished eating, they went to their nest to sleep. And then after it rained. They were so wet from the rain, and they couldn't sleep, but they tried to sleep. And then after that day, the next day, Mr. Greg woke up and said, oh, that was a crazy night. I'm so happy we're all over it, said Mr. Greg. And then after what was it? After William said, look down, look, they're holding our guns. They're pointing at us, said William. And they looked down and they said, you're right. They're pointing at us. They're gonna shoot us like we did them, but we missed, said who was that? Said Mrs. Greg. And after they started to shoot, bang, 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 but they did like this, flying like that to miss the guns shoot. And after they did it, the ducks talked to them. They said, no. First, Mr. Greg said, please don't shoot us. Please, please. We will never do that. We didn't even do anything to you, said Mr. Greg. And the ducks, which doesn't have a gun, said, what do you mean? Last night you tried to shoot us, and you killed 16 of our children, said the ducks. And then said the duck. And then after Mrs. Greg said, please don't hurt our children. Please, I would just shoot me instead. And Mr. Greg said, don't shoot my family. Please, I beg you, I won't do that ever again. And the duck said, will you? Are you sure? Said the duck. And then Mr. Greg said, yes, I'm sure. Please, just let us live. And the duck said, okay, we'll make a promise only if you come down, said the duck. And then after they came down, their eyes, the whole Greg family was covered in black. They couldn't see anything. And then after, their eyes started to open. And then after they saw them standing in their garden and looking at the ducks who flew by, who were now have wings, and they had arms now. The Greg family had arms now. They were so happy. The children was dancing around. They were so happy, and they danced, they played, they did everything they could. And then after, they went inside the house and looked, and the toilet was a mess because of the ducks. Yeah. And after, they went out to get some apples to eat, I think. Yeah. And then after, who was that again? The magic finger girl came to their garden and said, hello, Mr. Greg. Mr. Greg, said the magic finger girl. And then she said, I'm not Greg anymore. I changed it. My name is Mr. Egg now. And the whole family is Egg, said Mrs. Greg. And then the magic finger girl said, why did you change? And William explained everything of the story. And Mrs. Greg said, look up there. That tree is the one that we made a nest on, said the Egg family now. Yeah. And she said, wow, that's a great story, said her. And remember that when the magic finger girl turned them into duck wings, right? She did that. And when she went to school the other day, the teacher said, who can spell cat? How about you? Said, how about you, magic finger girl? Said the teacher. And then she said, that's so easy. It's K-A-T, said the magic finger girl. And then the teacher said, are you so dumb? You're so stupid. Go stand right there in the corner, said the teacher. And then after she was standing in the corner, her eyes turned cross and she saw red. And then her left finger can't control herself, and then touched the teacher. And then, do you know what grew on the teacher? Whiskers, like cat, but it was much longer than that. It was like much longer than that. And then after, the children laughed, and the teacher said, what's so funny? Nothing's wrong with me. And when she turned around to write something on the board, she the children saw that she have grown a tail, a cat tail. Can't you believe it? And after they saw a cat tail, they laughed so hard they couldn't stop laughing. The teacher got so mad. And after the Greg family, they killed 16 of the ducks, right? And Mrs. Egg was now covering the dead bodies of the ducks and putting flowers on them because they did it wrong. Yeah. And on the other hand, Mr. Egg was chopping all the guns because they don't want to shoot it anymore and they don't want to turn into a duck again. And then after, on the other hand, William and Porch was feeding the other ducks of the ducks' children, giving food. Here you go, like that. And they were so happy. That's the end of the story. Thank you guys for listening. Okay, let me just do my favorite thing. I love smelling this. Do you? Yep.